Do you think he's being blackballed by the NFL?
Of course, of course.
All my years being in the league, I never received more emotional mail from people than I did about that issue. It's an emotional issue for a lot of people, more so than any other issue I've run into.
Despite the blatantly obvious, people still continue to deflect. What do you mean Kaepernick is being blackballed? It's the vegan thing. That's why they're not signing him. It's his obsessive love of avocado toast. Teams can't handle that. His last name is too long for the shirts. The shirts are too long for his last name. He's too tall to be a backup QB. He's too short to be a starter. He's right-footed.
What does that matter?
It matters, all right? It matters.
One eternity later.
He wants too much money. He doesn't want enough money. He didn't even know what kafefe meant. And you guys think he should be signed? Give me a break. Jesus Christ. In reality, if at this point you still think Colin Kaepernick is unemployed for any other reason than because he exercised his First Amendment right to protest, then I really don't know what to tell you. Maybe you need a CTE scan. Of course he is being blackballed because he kneeled. You know, the thing he had every right to do, but since doing so has faced an unmeasured amount of scrutiny. And in case any questions remained, the jackass owner of the New York Giants explicitly stated that if his team was to consider signing Kaepernick, they wouldn't because of a fear of fan backlash. Meaning, and listen closely here, in terms of who can acceptably play for the New York Giants, Colin Kaepernick, a black man who would not stand by and watch as his country unfairly treated African Americans, is further down the list than f***ing wife beaters. Oh yes, when you protest the unlawful killing of black Americans, you are deemed worse than that of a man who openly admitted to beating his wife physically and emotionally, only to be offered a further $4 million contract. Let that sit in. What other types of offences are more acceptable to the NFL compared to a black man's peaceful protest, you may ask? How about driving under the influence, drug charges, dog fighting, sexual assault, domestic abuse, more domestic abuse, and what must be my 10th clip on this issue. No, really, it's about 10. It still baffles me that people so blinded by their hatred for a black man speaking out on an important issue plaguing this great country fail to admit that what we are witnessing is history repeating itself. Now, I'm not a fool. I know Kaepernick is not as talented or as transformative a figure as Muhammad Ali, but their treatment by the sports world, the media, and the general public is remarkably similar. 60 years later, and what remains is a persistent need to punish a man who speaks out against a predominantly white narrative. The Giants owner provides a perfect insight into the communication that's going on behind the scenes between the rich white owners in the NFL. The same men who did not hesitate to express their disgust about Kaepernick during his protest when they called him a traitor. And this is their payback. All while idiots giving them a free pass by tossing around misleading stats or making up ridiculous lies such that Colin Kaepernick is vegan and that's why no team wants to sign him. Newsflash, the greatest quarterback of all time lives off quinoa and other shit. But it does not take a football expert to see that me, could declare myself available tomorrow for the NFL and I'd likely still be given a backup QB job ahead of Kaepernick, despite the fact that I'd be doing everything in my power to kick the fucking thing and avoid any form of physical contact on the sideline. Oh, but as long as I stand, I'll probably get signed. In reality, we should be thanking Giants owner Mara for exposing this conundrum so that we may finally put to rest the continuous asinine excuses that flood our feeds as to why this man has not been signed. It was reported today that Kaepernick has been inundated with fan mail, most likely from the same fans Mara claimed would be in uproar if they had them on their team. Despite these falsities, people are turning out in numbers to rally behind the Milwaukee native, taking to the streets to protest their outrage and fight back against the hypocrisy of those who say they protect free speech, but then find backdoor ways of punishing someone for saying something they did not want to hear. Continue to show your support, continue to stand with Kaepernick, and continue to resist. Follow me on Instagram at Francis M. Maxwell and also on Twitter at Francis M. Maxwell.